Beside Elliott in the wall goes Herbst. That was a great move by Reich. Shot back to the bottom. The Daytona 500 was supposed to be a celebration. Instead, it exploded into chaos, accusations, and a storm NASCAR might not be ready for. Because when the smoke cleared at Daytona International Speedway on Sunday, February 15th, it wasn't just torn-up race cars sitting on the front stretch. It was trust. It was patience. And it was drivers who had finally had enough. Tyler Reich crossed the finish line first. But even he couldn't celebrate. "I didn't know if I'd won the race or not," Reich said immediately after the checkered flag. "I knew I crossed the start-finish line first, but I don't know if the yellow light was on before I got there. I didn't want to get ahead of myself. I didn't want to think I'd won the race, and then be told a couple seconds later I hadn't. That would be devastating." Think about that. The biggest win of his life, the Daytona 500, and he couldn't even smile because everything about this race felt uncertain. Let's go back to the final lap. Carson Hocevar took the white flag as the leader. The 23-year-old Spire Motorsports driver was about to win the Daytona 500. Then came turn 1. Eric Jones got into the back of Hocevar's number 77 and sent him spinning into the outside wall. Number caution. The race kept going. Chase Elliott inherited the lead off turn 2. He was about to win his first Daytona 500. And then Riley Herbst, after pushing teammate Tyler Reich past Elliott, decided he wanted to win the race for himself. He moved from the middle lane all the way to the top to block Brad Keselowski's massive run. But Keselowski was already there. Contact, Herbst spun into Elliott's right rear. Elliott crashed into the safer barrier. Joey Logano crossed the line backwards. Keselowski limped home fifth with a destroyed nose, and Reich slipped through the smoke to win by 0.308 seconds over Ricky Stenhouse Jr. "It's disappointing," Elliott said quietly in the infield care center. "I don't know what to tell you. We were leading the Daytona 500 off turn 4 coming to the checkered flag and didn't win. So you tell me." He paused, then added, "Maybe I should have just turned left the first time." That's not just frustration. That's disbelief from a driver who had the biggest race of the year in his hands and watched it slip away in the final 100 yards. Carson Hocevar was equally gutted. The kid who was leading at the white flag, who went from potential Daytona 500 champion to 19th place in 2 corners, tried to keep it professional. "It's unfortunate that a car in my mirror at the white flag won the race," Hocevar said. "I felt there was good execution, but it's just the last lap at Daytona." Spoken like someone who's been through this rodeo before. But Hocevar is 23 years old. This was supposed to be his moment, and it was ripped away before he even knew what happened. Brad Keselowski was far less calm. The 2012 Cup Series champion, racing with a titanium rod in his surgically repaired femur just 6 days after being medically cleared, had brutal words for Riley Herbst. "The 35 just wrecked me out of nowhere for no reason," Keselowski said through gritted teeth. "That was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen. He had no chance of blocking my run. I had a huge run. I don't know if I could have gotten the 45 or the 48, but I would have liked to find out, because my run was coming fast, and the 35 just wiped us and himself. Pretty stupid." But he wasn't done. "I thought a one-lane block kind of makes sense, but to block from the very bottom all the way to the top and wreck yourself and everybody else is just stupid. Very, very stupid." Those aren't quiet comments from a disappointed driver. That's a man who believes something is broken. And maybe he's right, because here's what most people missed while they were focused on the final lap chaos. All race long, drivers weren't racing. They were managing, saving fuel, riding half throttle, stuck in tight packs where nobody could pass unless someone made a mistake. The next-gen car has made super speedway racing so equal, so tight, that track position doesn't come from bold moves anymore. It comes from pit road strategy. Burn less fuel, pit less, jump positions that way. That's not what fans picture when they think about Daytona, and even race-winning team owner Denny Hamlin knows it. He wasn't shy about it either. "There's a way, but we're going to have to increase the speeds by a lot," Hamlin said at the post-race press conference. "You're going to have to make it to where handling matters. That's going to spread out the field. That's going to make it look a little more like racing from the past. But as long as their insurance company is okay with it, you're going to have to speed up the cars, because right now we're so planted in the racetrack that we can just run in this really tight pack." Planted, that's the word. The cars are so stuck to the ground that drivers don't lift. And when nobody lifts, the field stays stacked. 3 wide, 4 wide, inches apart. A ticking time bomb waiting to explode on the final lap. Hamlin even floated a solution. Bring the Clash back to Daytona next year and let drivers experiment with a new package. One of the suggestions that we talked about just a few days ago is come here next year in the Clash. Let a few of us come up with a package where you won't see any fuel saving. You're just going to see people hanging on. That would be the only fix. He paused, then simplified it perfectly, taking away spoiler and slowing us down in the corners. More lift. We need more lifting. More lifting means more mistakes. More mistakes mean more skill. Right now, it's about who times the chaos perfectly. And Tyler Reich timed it perfectly. But even his victory came through heartbreak and pressure that most fans never saw. Last year was really hard for all of us, Reich admitted in Victory Lane. When you're a cup driver and you get to this level and drive for Michael Jordan, it's expected you win every single year. For us to go on that drought we did, it made us look hard in the mirror. He got emotional talking about his young son. The best part is my son Bo asked before this race, "Are you finally going to win this race?" Something about today just felt right. While the internet screams about blocks and crashes, Reich was thinking about his family, about a tough 2025 season with no wins, about proving he belonged at this level. And Michael Jordan, the NBA legend who co-owns 23XI Racing, was in Victory Lane crying. This win came just 2 days before his 63rd birthday and just months after his team's legal battle with Nascar over the charter system. Jordan said the conflict was difficult but necessary. The focus now should be on cooperation, stronger teams, and improving the experience for fans. Jordan said he won in the boardroom, and now he's won at Daytona. The greatest competitor in sports history checked off another impossible box. But while Jordan celebrated and Reich soaked it in, Riley Herbst tried to explain himself. "We got all spread out wide down the back straightaway," Herbst said. "I chose to go with Reich, pushed him, and he made that move on Elliott to go side by side, and I don't know truly what happened."